Hi, I'm Mike Elston, Executive Chef at Mount Carmel Grove City Hospital. Today I'm going to show you how to make baked pasta and summer veggies. Let's start out with mise en place, which is a French culinary term that says everything in its place. I have all of my ingredients that I need, all of my utensils in my cooking pan. And the first item that we're going to start out with is the yellow squash. I need 1.5 cups of chopped yellow squash. To do that, I'm going to take my knife and I'm going to cut both ends off of my squash. I'm going to place those pieces into a container that I can use later. I can make a chinois, which is a bag that can hold those items into a sauce, and then you can remove it with the bag so you don't have those pieces in your sauce, but you get the flavor of those items in there. Or I can use it in a compost pile and I can grow more veggies that'll be more fruitful by doing that. I'm going to cut this yellow squash in half to make it more manageable to cut. We're going to cut this into 1/2-inch dice cubes. So I'm going to take this half and cut it in half. And then I'm going to cut it with 2 more slits to get my 1/2-inch cut that I need right there. I'm going to go across the side of the yellow squash with my fingers and my thumb curled back in a claw manner so that I don't cut my fingers or my thumb. And you can use other vegetables. It's really what's seasonal or what you have on hand in your refrigerator or in your pantry that you'd want to use. Like broccoli, peppers, spinach, carrots, or mushrooms are some good additions. I like to have my cutting board right next to the edge of my counter so I can just slide the items that I cut right off of that into my bowl. We're going to do the same thing with the zucchini. And I've already washed these vegetables in the sink. You want to get all the debris off of it if there's any dirt or any insects, because they do grow outside, so occasionally you'll have an insect. You can buy fruit and vegetable wash sprays at the store. I looked online and you can actually make your own by using 50% hydrogen peroxide to water as the ratio. Spray that on there to help kill any bacteria. But I would recommend just rinsing that off and letting your vegetable or fruit dry before you actually, oh, I gotta go this way. I was talking and not watching what I was doing. You want to get that hydrogen peroxide taste off of it after that, so you just rinse it off and then let it air dry, and you can eat your fruits and veggies. And zucchini is very versatile. A lot of people like to make zucchini bread out of it, or you can make soup and add it to it as one of your vegetables. One soup that comes to mind is Italian wedding soup, which is whatever's left over in your house that the wife was going to make for you when you got married. And that's how Italian wedding soup became. We're going to cut the onion so that the end of it is removed, not the root end, but the other end. You want to keep the root end intact so that it holds the onion together as you're processing it. The rind on the outside of the onion, you want to cut through the first layer of the onion. It'll just help you remove that rind off of it. And we're going to process this into 1/4-inch pieces too. And at the store, you can buy onions that are already pre-peeled. You just wind up spending more money for someone to do that process for you. I prefer to buy it with the skin on. It actually helps the onion stay fresher with the skin on it and protects it during shipping. At this point, we're going to cut through the root end halfway down through the onion like that. Cut it into equal pieces. And some chefs will take the tip of the knife and do 1/4-inch slits going across like this. Or you can take the blade of the knife and just slide it across and let the knife cut down through it as you go. To get the 1/4 inch pieces, we're now going to cut it on the bias with a 1/4 inch size. And I kept my claw with my thumb and my fingers so that I didn't cut myself. So we've got 1½ cups chopped zucchini and squash. We're going to add our 1/2 cup of chopped onion to that. That's about a 1/2 cup right there. Now we're going to process our garlic. And there's different ways of getting the outer skin off of your garlic. There's a process where you take 2 stainless steel bowls and put your garlic inside of it and shake it. But you can use whatever you have on hand. If you have other bowls, in this case I've got a stock pot with a lid that goes over the top. I'm going to take this garlic clove and I'm going to smash it down on my cutting board, not with the root end down, but with this other part up, because that would hurt my palm. I'm just going to slam this down onto here, like that, and that breaks it up into smaller pieces. Then I'm going to put the lid on, and we're going to shake. I feel like a bartender when I do that. And you can look at it and see where it's at in the process. We still got to shake it some more. Okay. And you'll see in here, some of them have already been peeled for us. We just need 2 garlic cloves. That's a good size one. I like that one. It's pretty big, and then we'll use this one. That should give us the equivalent of 2 garlic cloves. We're going to mince this up. You can take the flat side of your knife and place that over the top of the garlic, and then with the palm of your hand, press down, and that gets the process started. So I've got a flat piece of garlic to chop up. I'm going to curl my fingers back and my thumb so it's not under the blade, and with a rocking motion like this, I can go through my garlic. And then turn it sideways, and then put the tip of the blade down like this with your palm over the top, and just use the heel of the knife back and forth to make it a fine mince. You can also buy garlic that's pre-cut at the store in glass jars. It comes packed in water or oil, and they have different sizes too. It could be a medium chop or something fine like a minced chop. Slide this into a holding container. Next, our tomatoes. These are just normal tomatoes. You can also use cherry tomatoes or tomato sauce or canned tomatoes, depending on what you have at home. Just remember that if you're using tomato sauce, it's really concentrated, so you don't want to use as much as this. This recipe calls for 2 cups of chopped tomato. And there's also tomato paste out there too, and that's really strong. A little bit goes a long way with that. So I'm going to cut the end off of my tomato. We're not going to eat that part. And these I'm also going to dice up. So I'm cutting it into into a 1/4 inch size slices. And you can see, even though I have a sharp knife, sometimes it's hard to cut through it. So if you have, like I do, a serrated edge knife, it's great for cutting tomatoes. This is also good for frozen foods too, like breads. If it's frozen, it helps cut through that. I want to make these into workable piles, so I'll probably do 2 at a time. I'll switch back to my chef knife for this process. We're going to cut these into 1/4 inch pieces. We're just chopping it up. It doesn't have to be perfect. as far as the size. You can substitute other vegetables in this too. Whatever's seasonal. All right, I'm going to put this in the same container that I had the garlic with. And 2 medium-sized tomatoes will give you your 2 cups because each one is about a cup. I'm going to take a skillet and I'm going to turn it on to medium-high heat. And while that's warming up, we're going to process our herbs. I've got some basil here. And we're going to need 2 tablespoons of basil. This should produce about that much. We don't want the stems. They're going to have a little bit of a bitter taste to it, but you just remove the leaves of the basil like this. And we're going to chiffonade this. So I'm going to take these herbs and I'm just going to roll them up into a log really tightly and cut across it with my knife. Chiffonade is a term. It's a French culinary word that means to cut into strips or tear, like if you're tearing a rag. And then we're going to walk the knife across it, placing my hand over the tip, and just work the heel of the knife across the basil like this. And a rough chop is fine. We don't have to go really fine with it. Next is our oregano. And we need 2 teaspoons of oregano. And to get it off the stem, at the top the stem is pretty fragile, but as you work your way further down it gets thicker. And you can hold on to that thicker part and then just take your fingers and peel down. And when you're on camera, it's working. There we go. All right. It peels right off like that, and the stem's removed. You can do the same thing with thyme. Thyme has an even tougher stem on it, and it makes it easier for the peeling process to get the thyme off of it. And we're using basil and oregano in this recipe. You could use other herbs. Thyme would be a good substitution if that's what you have. And you can use dry herbs too. Just remember the ratio is 3 to 1 because the drying process shrinks down that herb so you can use less when it's added to the dish that you're making. All right, I think we got our 2 tablespoons there. We'll see how our pan's doing. I'm going to crank it up on high actually, do it heating up some more. I'm going to take some oil. I've got some canola and olive oil blend here, but you can use vegetable oil or just straight olive oil if you want. Just remember that the smoking point on the olive oil is lower, so it's going to smoke up sooner than what this would. All right, we've coated the bottom of the pan. We're going to take our zucchini and onion and place that into the skillet. We're going to saute that for about 5 minutes. At this point, our zucchini and onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes, and you can see that the onion is starting to get a little translucent. Now I'm going to add my garlic and tomatoes that we cut up earlier. We're going to let this cook for an additional 3 minutes. And while that's cooking, I'm going to talk to you about the pasta that we're using for this dish. This dish serves, I believe, 8 people, and it calls for 4 ounces of uncooked pasta. What we have here is penne rigate, which has small ridges on the outside of the penne, and it holds onto the sauce. So if you're using a tomato-based dish for a sauce, it's going to hang on to this noodle better. If it didn't have the ridges on it, it was just penne, then you could use like an Alfredo sauce or something thick, and that would actually hold onto the noodle that way. So 4 ounces of uncooked pasta actually comes out to look like this after it's cooked. It's doubled in size. And it probably takes about 7 to 10 minutes to boil your pasta to this texture. And it's a beautiful pasta. You can also use whole wheat pasta, and you'll get more fiber that way from the grains. If you have boxes of pasta at home that you haven't used all the box, you can mix them together. I do that at home all the time, and I actually like the different texture that it has when you're eating that food that way too. With the zucchini, tomatoes, and onions, you see I had one fly out, but I just want to show you that you could actually toss it like this. If you want to practice at home, get a skillet like this and put some corn kernels in it, some frozen corn kernels, and practice flipping it like that. If you get good at that, then you can put some frozen peas in there and start tossing it too, and you could saute your food like that in front of people and just make them go, wow. And it's fun too. Cooking should be fun. All right, I think we've got the extra 3 minutes on that. Now we're going to start adding our other ingredients to this. And it says to remove it from the heat. I'm just going to turn off the stove. It's now removed from the heat. We're going to add in the ricotta cheese, salt. We actually have salt that's divided. It called for, I want to see how much salt we had here. 3/4 of a teaspoon divided. The oregano that we cut up before, the basil, and the red pepper flakes too. We're going to let this cook in. And from the heat of the pan, it's actually allowing this to break down in here, because it's going to finish off in the oven. Now we're going to take an egg, and I just used a regular bowl that you would use at home, like a cereal bowl. And I'm going to crack the egg off to the side so I don't get any shells in it. I'm going to whisk this up. Before I add this in, I'm going to take half of my mozzarella and add this to the pan. Stir this in. And having a large skillet is great for this, to actually do this process. And we used ricotta in this. You can use other types of cheese that you have on hand. You could use cottage cheese, you could use low fat or fat free. Cream cheese would actually work too. And then we put in our egg and combine. And I already have the pasta cooked off ahead of time. We're going to add this. And combine it. I can't wait to see this when it's done in the actual casserole dish to serve, because the colors, the red, the green, the yellow, it's incredible. And the red pepper flakes that I added, you could add anything that you want to for your pepper. You could add hot sauce to it if you wanted to. You could add cayenne pepper to it if you wanted to. And if you don't like the heat, you can reduce down the amount that you put in, or you could just put in normal pepper too if you don't want the spiciness of it. Okay. Now we're going to take a baking dish, and we're going to spray it with non-stick cooking spray. Make sure you get the edges of the pan too, so that it doesn't stick when you go to remove it later on. And we're going to put this mixture into our baking dish. And that's a lot. To say that it serves 8, you're going to have no problem feeding 8. Okay. We're going to top it with some mozzarella cheese and bake it at 400 degrees for 15 minutes until it is brown and bubbly. We're back. It's time to see how our baked pasta and summer veggies look in the oven. You can see that the cheese has started to caramelize on top with a nice golden brown. It's nice and bubbly. The colors are all there with the different veggies. And keep in mind that you can also use meat in this dish. Just make sure that the meat is cooked. And you could use diced or ground up chicken. You could use hamburger meat. You could use sausage. And if you wanted to add protein with beans, you could do that too. Cannellini beans would be great for this, the canned ones. That's an authentic bean that's used in Italian cooking. And it looks like a kidney bean, but it has a nutty, buttery taste to it when you eat it. So until we meet next time, healthy cooking, my friends.
Hi everyone, I'm Amy Shea, registered dietitian and nutrition faculty with Mount Carmel College of Nursing. And today in our nutrition lesson, I just wanted to share a little bit about the recipe that Chef Mike just demonstrated. So you guys are making the baked pasta with summer veggies, which is such a great recipe. I love this recipe. It's so versatile and there's so many different things you could do to mix it up and make this recipe really delicious. So if you look on your recipe handout, you'll see the nutrition facts that go along with this recipe. And right away, you can see that one serving offers about 300 calories, which is a great amount for a nice meal. Also, you can see that it provides healthy fat, not a lot of saturated fat, so most of it is healthy fat, a good source of protein, and it also has healthy carbohydrates and a good amount of fiber coming from those plant foods. So I really, really like this recipe for its nutrition information. And today for our little mini lesson, I wanted to stress the benefits of eating fruits and veggies. So you can see here in the video, I have a flyer from the My Plate website, and it says, make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. There are so many ways to eat fruits and veggies every day. So you can see some different examples of how to incorporate fruits and vegetables throughout your day. And this recipe just does such a great job of getting in lots of delicious veggies. A couple important points to understand about fruits and vegetables is that a diet rich in vegetables and fruit can lower blood pressure, reduce the risk of heart disease and stroke, prevent certain types of cancer, lower the risk of eye disease, and also improve digestive health. So there's so many different benefits related to eating fruits and vegetables. Keep in mind that no single fruit or vegetable provides all of the nutrients that you need, so it's really important to eat a wide variety of fruits and veggies as much as possible. And getting that variety also helps to give your body more of the beneficial plant compounds that are protective and disease fighting. So we want to make sure we're getting the wide variety of fruits and veggies. A couple bits of evidence or research related to benefits of fruits and vegetables that I'll share. Fruits and veggies, again, lower the risk of heart disease and stroke. And studies have shown that individuals who eat more than 5 servings per day have about a 20% lower risk of heart disease and stroke compared to people who eat less. Eating a diet rich in fruits and vegetables can also decrease blood pressure as much as some blood pressure medication. So that's pretty awesome. Numerous studies also suggest a strong link between eating fruits and vegetables and protection against cancer. There is emerging evidence that fruits and veggies protect against developing type 2 diabetes. Also, as I noted, this recipe and fruits and vegetables contain good, healthy fiber, and that helps keep your GI tract healthy and moving regularly. So that's a really important piece of health. And lastly, eating fruits and vegetables can also keep your eyes healthy by decreasing the risk of cataracts and macular degeneration. So hopefully in this little mini lesson, you learned some benefits of fruits and vegetables, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos.